Welcome to First Option's first demo for the Accounts Payable application. Let's go through a typical daily cycle of entering bills and cutting checks. Click on Voucher Entry. This option is used to enter all AP invoices and debit memos. All entry is done in batches and should be separated by corporation, accounting period and AP liability account. On this screen you will see any batches that are currently still open. To edit, you would right-click under Opt column and select the number 2 to edit. To delete, select 4. To add a new batch, click on the Add button. Batch number is automatically assigned. Enter corporation, GL account to be credited, batch total and optional description. It's best business practice to let the accounting period default to the invoice date to avoid entering the wrong accounting period. Click on gray box to select your general ledger number. Currency will default to US dollar. In this example, the corporation has multiple currencies, so there is a drop-down box for selection. You can turn on off certain entry functions that have been coded in the Accounts Payable profile. See Manual for examples. Use Add to enter more batches. Recall to adjust batch total. Your batch header is now complete and you can press the OK button. The invoice entry screen is where you will begin entering one invoice at a time. The due date can be left blank and will automatically calculate based on the vendor's term setup and file maintenance. At this screen, fill in your invoice info. Click on Select to search for a vendor. Click the Vendor button to add a new vendor. You can also duplicate an entry, drop line to show more information and comments, do an AP inquiry or add notes via Notes button. Under the Pay Type option you will see an option C for check, an E for electronic payment and an F for foreign currency. Under Status box, a hold will put invoice on hold until it is removed. In check selection, normal is default status. Immediate pay will be paid in your next check run regardless of invoice date. Temp hold is held during next check run and then reverts to a normal status. At the allocation screen, you can make any changes here for division, department, MAD number, discount or purchase order number. When finished, click OK. You can also distribute between multiple corporations, divisions, departments, jobs and general ledger accounts. You will then be prompted to click on OK again to accept your changes. Enter your next invoice within the batch. In this case, batch number 6. The system always checks for duplicate invoice numbers. Our next invoice has been completed, so click OK. Click OK again to accept your changes. This will take you back to the invoice entry screen to enter your next invoice. Enter your next invoice and click OK. Click OK again to accept changes. Once you have entered the last invoice in the batch and accepted your changes, you can click on Exit. You will receive a message to print and edit listing. Always click the checkbox to receive your AP voucher entry listing, then click OK in left-hand corner. If your batch is out of balance, you will get an error message. You should always run an edit listing as best business practice prior to performing your update. You will be back at the batch screen once you click OK. Click on Spool Files to view and print your edit listing. If there are no errors, click on Voucher Update to process your payments. If you need to make changes, go back into the Voucher Entry option. Right-click on the report and enter a 5 to display. Let's take a look at your AP voucher edit listing. If there are no errors on your listing, click on Voucher Update to process your payments. You will receive a message that it is okay to perform the update and a final edit listing will print. Select Batches for update by right-clicking and selecting option 1. If you select 1 by mistake, right-click and enter a 4 to clear selection. Once your batches are selected, click the Continue button. A journal entry edit is printed and the posting is made to the general ledger. Go to Spool File to review and print. Should you need to make changes once the batch has been posted, use Transaction Modification located on the Miscellaneous Functions menu. The last step is to print your checks or send file to bank if you are using electronic payment. Go into Check Selection and Payment option. Select the corporation and check off the entries that apply and click OK. Make sure Print and Edit List is always checked if you are going to advance to the payment screen. Check Print and Edit List and click OK. You can also select items to be paid using interactive selection or change status. Partial and on-account payments can be made here as well. You can also select items by due date. After clicking OK, you will be at the bank selection screen. Select Bank and check Date, then click OK. If your final edit is correct, click OK. If your check's printed correctly, click on Update Files. If not, make corrections and type Reprint in box above. Let's go through the rest of the options on this screen, starting with interactive selection. Click OK. Options above can be checked to allow changes prior to printing. Here you will be able to choose your invoices for payment. Right-click on Status and choose Payment, Hold, Clear or Delete. You can also do a partial payment by clicking on the Partial Payment button. At the partial payment screen, enter the invoice, amount, invoice date and credit account. Date should reflect date paid, not the original invoice date. Back at our check selection screen, the next option is Display Items Selected and Change Status. Here you can change multi-code, discount, due date or payment option if you allow other pay types. Lastly, you can choose to print an edit list or enter a specific due date. This concludes our daily cycle demonstration. Thank you for your time.